Hello, and welcome to the Liz Javier Podcast. I'm Liz Javier, and I am so excited to be back. It's been a couple of months since I have put out an episode for my podcast, and I just got really busy, and I decided to take a couple of months off for myself, selfishly, but then also in a way that I probably shouldn't have. And sometimes we feel stuck or we feel unmotivated or maybe frustrated with life. Or we just get in a funk and we just lie back and try to let life take over. And that's exactly what I did. So now I'm back and I'm excited to be here because life is full of challenges. Every choice we make comes with its own version of hard. What are we going to do with it? But the key is to choosing the actions and the paths that lead us to a better life rather than the one that keeps us stuck where we are, where we don't want to be. So I want to talk about a little bit about what's been going on with me lately and how this applies to this podcast. I actually saw the other day in one of the women's groups that I am on in Facebook, it's like, ladies, I need help. I feel stuck. I'm frustrated. Everybody at work is pissing me off. All my family and friends, all they do is irritate me. I just don't understand what's going on with me. I just have this internal just cringe where I just don't know what's going on. And I so related to that because I get stuck like this from time to time. And if you have been on this roller coaster with me for the first few episodes, you know that 8 years ago, I went through this pretty horrific breakup. And it was something that was very soul crushing to me. And that wasn't the first time that I had a situation in my life where I felt stuck or I had a situation where I need to make some changes. Last October, I got laid off my job and I had to find a new one. And I finally did find a new one at the beginning of December and started that in January. I was super excited. I was stoked. I was ready to make some money. And I just lost that job. So here I am back again. During that time, I was like, I needed to take some time off. I wanted to get settled into my new job. I needed to move, which I just did 2 weeks ago. I'm excited to be in my new place right now and get all my stuff set up for my office. But I had all these things that were going on. So I had to choose to step away from my coaching business and my online business for a few months. And that made me really, really sad. Because where I am now, I realize that part of me has been missing. I want to be out there and I want to be on this podcast. I want to be out there talking to you guys and helping you with the things in your life. But through this 3 months, I got frustrated. I got stuck. I was back in a job that I just was not happy at. I loved the people. I loved the concept. I loved everything about it, but it just wasn't for me. And I was stuck in another place again of where I didn't want to be and where I needed to go somewhere different. And so today, I want to talk about how you can stop getting stuck, or if you're stuck right now, just get unstuck. It's okay to get stuck. It's okay to get frustrated. It's okay to feel like you're in a place where you're not meant to be. Because when you're feeling this way, it's an eye-opener to you to make some changes. And today I'm going to share with you how you can do that. Now, I could have chosen something different instead of starting a job. I had 3 months off inadvertently, and I could have started my online business. And I tried. I kind of did. I did this and that. I don't think my heart was in it because I was feeling a certain way. But now I'm in a different place, and I'm going to talk about why it's hard to get started. The brain does some crazy things to us. It is a machine. So just like your computer, sometimes it freezes, it breaks down, you got to reboot it, you got to charge it up, you got to do these things to your computer. Your brain is the same thing. Your computer can learn you, right? ChatGPT learns me really well. All I have to do is ask it something, and it takes something that I asked 3 months ago and puts it into that as well. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the computer's learning me. It's starting to understand me. Your brain does the same thing. So I like to bring some psychology and some facts into the things that I'm talking about on my podcast, just to show you that this isn't shit that's just made up. Not by me, other people out there in the world. It is actually something true. So let me talk about a couple of reasons why and the psychology behind why it's hard to get started. So the first reason is is called the comfort zone trap. The comfort zone trap, that's where our brains, they're wired specifically to seek out comfort and to avoid discomfort. What does that mean? If your brain feels like there's something risky or uncomfortable, your mind's natural instinct is to protect us, to protect you from anything that feels uncertain or anything that feels difficult. This is why staying in a routine, even if it's unhealthy or fulfilling, feels easier than stepping into the unknown. Because the longer we stay in our comfort zone, the harder it is to become something different or break out of that comfort zone. So I want you to think about now or any time that you've been stuck in a comfort zone. I know for me, my comfort zone is getting stuck in a 9-to-5 job. It's comfortable. I'm making money. I have health insurance. And when I think about stepping outside that comfort zone, it's scary. I did it 8 years ago after that breakup. I got back into a 9-to-5 job working at a bank. It was comfortable. I went back to my old job. I knew I was going to make X amount of money. I moved into a mediocre apartment and back to where I was because it was comfortable. It was easy. I knew what money was coming in, whether I was struggling with it or not, didn't matter because this is where I was before and it was comfortable. And so back 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago, June, that'll be coming up soon. I literally said, screw it. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go do this. I want to be a personal trainer. I want to teach group fitness classes. I'm going to do this. And my brain, it took a few months to make that leap of faith because every time, actually it probably took me a year, I've actually went back and I was like, man, there were so many times where I wanted to take this leap of faith in myself. I wanted to get out of this trap of this 9-to-5. I'm in a job that everyone says I need to do. Even my ex was like, you need to make $90,000, do this, do that. My mom, you need to have a job with insurance, things like that. I understand that they wanted the best for me. And that is comfortable because that is what most people do. But I was stuck in that loop for so long, it was so hard to break it. And so I did. And eventually I was able to get into a full-time job that allowed me to get health insurance and make the money that I wanted to. But I had to get out of that comfort zone trap. I had to do something different and I had to just really wake up. So now I'm doing the same thing. I am getting back on this uncomfortable zone roller coaster. I'm getting back into making podcasts, which actually feels really comfortable for me right now. But what feels uncomfortable is I don't want to seek out another 9-to-5 job where I'm going to be doing something or a 40-hour work week job somewhere where someone's paying me a salary to do X amount of job. I don't want that anymore. That was where my comfort zone is. And now my comfort zone, I'm starting my own business. I'm actually in a process of building an app and I'm actually starting to take on some coaching clients with you. Stick around until the end. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. If you are interested in stepping outside your comfort zone, getting unstuck, and living the life that you deserve. But for now, let's keep talking about the reasons why it's hard to start something new. Next thing, fear of failure. Huge one. So many people hesitate to start something because they fear that they won't succeed. They feel that failure is so discouraging. And it is. It really can be if you let it. You get to choose whether or not failure is discouraging. The thought of trying and not achieving a goal can really make someone avoid taking action altogether. Now, this fear sometimes stems from past experiences. You tried something and it didn't work. Maybe it's societal pressures of being a specific type of person. You don't want to step outside of that box. Or maybe they're just self-imposed expectations that you're setting way too high and you know that you cannot meet them. But failure is often a necessary step towards growth. I can't remember where I heard it, probably Mel Robbins' podcast because Mel Robbins is the queen. I love her. And a lot of times I get a motivation from her. I give her a shout out because probably a lot of the things that I repeat on my podcast, I've probably heard from her. But My version of this: failure is often necessary or a stepping stone towards growth. Every time you fail, you are putting down another stepping stone right there in your road to success. Because if you don't try, guess what? You are standing still. You don't have a stepping stone to step onto to move forward in your path. So, really, in the reality, your fear of failure, the only failure you should fear is the failure of not starting at all. Let me say that again. The only fear of that you should fear of failure is the one where you don't start at all. You need to start reframing failure as a learning opportunity rather than a dead end, rather than something that leaves you in fear. It should be something that helps you push past your fear. You fear starting something new. Well, guess what? Even if you failed, guess what? You overcame that fear and you tried. It's the only thing you can ever do is try. I know this for a fact because I failed a lot of things in my life. Some of the things I learned from, some of them I didn't. To be honest with you, that's why I lost my job. I failed and I failed and I failed, and I didn't learn lessons from it. I just kept moving forward thinking, I'm new, things are going to work itself out. But guess what? Some of the things that I didn't do is because I was fearful. And I wish I would have done, but at the same time, everything happens for a reason. But when you don't start something because you're afraid, you're probably missing out on something. All right, reason number 3 of why it's hard to start something. Instant gratification versus long-term gains. We crave immediate rewards. That's why habits like fast food, skipping workouts, procrastinating on important tasks just feel so appealing, because long-term gains require so much patience, they require consistency, and our brains are wired just to seek quick dopamine hits. Now, it hasn't always been this way, but it's gotten worse over time. Instant gratification with social media, with AI, all of that has taken the long-term gains and put it in a box of like, oh, well, I don't need to do that because I can build a book in one day using AI. Oh, I don't need to take my time animating this video because AI can do it for me. Those immediate rewards really take away the great feeling of long-term gains, because a lot of the times you don't understand how those long-term gains really help you. And Ramit Sethi, I was actually reading his book, I Will Teach You How to Be Rich. And he talked about the same thing when investing: instant gratification versus long-term gains. Your long-term gains, you're going to see more out of it if you just put some effort into it. But people don't want that. They want to take their money and they want to spend it now. And it really opened my eyes. I'd have to go back and look, but the math on it was like, if you take X amount of money, which was like if your expenses were $6,000 a month, and you could cut that down to $3,000 a month and put that extra $3,000 a month into savings, in 9 years you could retire. I was like, excuse me? Is it really that easy? Well, yes and no. Because I can do a lot with $3,000 this month, pay for this fancy apartment that I have. It's not that fancy, but to me, it's really nice, right? Pay for this nice apartment, have my car payment, be able to go out with my friends to dinner every once in a while, buy this or that on Amazon, shop, all that kind of stuff. I'd rather have that now because I get that instant gratification. May only last for a little bit of time, but right now it feels really good. And when I think about putting away that $3,000 rather than spending it, doesn't feel good because I don't see that gratification for 9 years. 9 years is a long time from now. Well, shit, I can by 50, I can retire. Maybe I should think about cutting my expenses down by $3,000 and putting that into the bank, because in 9 years, that means I can have enough money to retire. That sounds actually pretty good in the hindsight, but guess what? It's hard. You don't want to do that because you want to take those trips now. You want to do things that you want now. And it's hard to wrap our brains around it when we want those dopamine hits now. Overcoming this hardship of instant gratification versus long-term gains really, really can only be overcome by shifting focus from the short-term pleasures to the long-term benefits. We really have to remind ourselves that delayed gratification leads to more significant rewards down the line. So could you put off some instant gratification for some long-term gains? I think you can. We just have to know that it's worth it. And I think the first time that you do it and see the worth, it'll be easier to do it the next time. Next, reason number 4, overwhelm and decision fatigue. I like to call this analysis paralysis. There's just way too many options, and not knowing where to start, this can really paralyze us. When we face big changes, like starting a new diet or trying to pick out a new fitness routine or a purpose or career path, it's really, really easy to feel like there's just too much to do, too much to see, too much to read and decide from, that it leads to inaction. So when you have this overwhelming fatigue, you really got to stop and break down these goals into smaller, manageable steps. And this will actually help with that fear of failure as well. When you break things down into smaller, more digestible pieces, instead of trying to swallow the big picture, you actually can build more momentum. So if you want to lose weight, you want to start a new diet, start with something simple. You eat out 5 times a week, eat out 4 times a week. The next week, eat out 3 times a week. Want to start a new fitness routine? You don't have to go in the gym, lift weights. Just go for a walk. Go for a light jog walk. You want to start a new career path? Go get a certification. There's so many free things online. Udemy has a couple of free courses on probably what you're looking for. Start with small digestible pieces. I did the same thing when I was jobless and last year, and I had a few months to think about it. I was like, great, I'm going to get my project management certification. I did a course. I paid $1,000 for it. I wish I would have started smaller. Actually, I did start smaller. I did my Google one first on Udemy. It cost me $50 a month, and it took me a couple months to complete. But I started with something small, and I was like, okay, this is doable. I can do this. And so I invested $1,000 into another course. It's probably around $800, really, just rounding up. But I did. I started this new course. It took me a couple months to finish. And then I was going to pay $500 to take the exam to get my PMP. And I decided, you know what? After taking that course, is not what I want to do. I loved that I learned so much information about project management. This is actually going to help me in running my business. But I don't need to invest in the PMP. I don't want to be a project manager for somebody else. So because I took small chances and started small with some manageable steps, I wasn't overwhelmed. And by the time it came to make the decision, I decided I'm going to change my focus and I'm going to find somewhere else to do that same thing and build momentum. And now I'm doing this with my online coaching business, which I'm so excited about. All right. How many is that now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, number 5, identity and self-worth. This is where we don't believe that we are the type of person that does X. We're not that type of person to be fit. We're not the type of person who eats healthy. We're not the one who goes back to school and learns skill. And so when we don't think we're that person, we're not going to take action. Identity plays a huge role in motivation. Your actions align with how you see yourself. When you see yourself as somebody who doesn't succeed, that always gets the shit end of the deal, that's who you're always going to be. And that is a lie that you've been telling yourself for a very long time, and you need to stop. If someone always identified as not athletic or not disciplined, guess what? You're going to resist changes that contradict that belief. The key is to shift your identity first. Start seeing yourself as someone who prioritizes health, that prioritizes growth, and prioritizes success. And part of my online app is going to be part of a visualization and meditation part of it, where you can start to visualize and see yourself as somebody else, as this person that you want to be. Because when you're a child, when people ask you what you want to be when you grow up, you didn't say you were going to be an overweight adult working a 40-hour work week job that you're not happy at. You didn't say that you are an unsuccessful, uneducated person. That's what you want to be. When you were young, you're like, yes, I'm going to be an athlete. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to be a veterinarian, whatever it was, because at that point in time, you still had the capability of creating your own identity and knowing your self-worth. But over time, your confidence has been diminished. It's still there, but it has been diminished. So when you start to go back to that unwavering mentality as you were with a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be in a month? What do you want to be in 6 months? You want to be athletic. You want to be disciplined. You start telling yourself that's who you are now, even if you're not. I am a disciplined, motivated, athletic, successful human being with a successful podcast and a successful online business with a bank account that is abundant. That is what I want to be. So guess what? That's what I'm identifying as right now. That is my self-worth, and that's what you need to do for yourself. What is your version of that? All right, let's move on to the next. Habits and neural pathways. So another reason why it's hard to get started with something new. Our brain actually creates neural pathways. Every time we do something different, we learn, we create a habit, but it has to take consistent effort to rewire the brain and to form these new habits. The more we repeat a behavior, good or bad, the stronger that neural pathway becomes. So when you started a bad behavior of going to the drive-thru after work every day, you created that bad habit of coming home and pouring a glass of wine after work every day. You actually were creating a neural pathway in your brain saying that this is okay, this is something that you need to do, and you will repeat it without even thinking about it. I used to smoke cigarettes. Neural pathways in my brain. Every time I opened up a drink, every time that I got into my car, every time I did certain habits, guess what? I would light up a cigarette. And some days I would even just be doing something and all of a sudden I look at my hand and there's a lit cigarette and I'm like, what is this? How did I even get here? Because I don't even remember doing this. It's because your brain is so powerful. And it's not hard, it's not easy. It's actually very hard to create those new habits because one, you have to be mindful and cognizant that you're doing these old habits to be able to stop them and create new neural pathways to counteract your old ones. Initially, the new habits feel unnatural because the brain is used to following an established pattern. There's probably other things in your life that you can do in your sleep because you just can't. You've driven home from work for the last 5 years, the same route every single day. You could probably do it blindfold. I actually don't recommend that, but you probably could. You could definitely just get there without it being on autopilot, not even thinking about it. I'm sure that's happened to you before, where you've driven home, you're like, oh, I'm home already. My brain was on autopilot. I was thinking about XYZ the whole entire time. But through repetition and reinforcement, you can create new behaviors and they can become automatic as well. Doesn't seem as fun, doesn't seem as rewarding in the moment, but at the end of the day, when you can naturally have better behaviors that are automatic, you're automatically going to live a better life altogether. So understanding this process can really help you push through that initial discomfort of change and really get into better habits. All right, next, psychology of why it's hard to start new things. Final one, and probably almost the most important one, is the lack of clarity or the lack of understanding your why. Without strong internal reason to push through, it's easy to quit. So if you have an internal reason that motivates you, it's easier to keep that motivation and really keep it fueled. Now think about something that you really want right now. Why do you want that? Why is it? dig deeper into it. Use the 5 whys technique, which I've heard in several places. The last place was the Mel Robbins podcast. Thanks, Mel. But I've heard in other places as well. Ask yourself 5 times why you want something to really get clarity behind why it is that you want that. Because I promise you that the reason you want a promotion, the reason you want to lose weight, the reason you want to feel healthier, sleep better, has nothing to do with that actual thing. It has to do with something else underlying under there. So when you use the 5 whys technique, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up, or you can go to my previous podcast. I know I talked about it in one of my previous podcasts. Go back. It's one about purpose. Drawing a blank on which one it is, but I know I did it. Go find your purpose and the why behind what it is you truly want out of your life. The goal, the thing, the new habit you want to start. Why is it? Find that clarity behind your motivation. And that is going to help you keep your motivation from fading. It's going to keep that motivation fired up no matter what. Now, when your motivation is tied too deep, personal reasons, like wanting to be healthy for your children, stuff like that, it becomes much easier to stay committed. But also understand when you want to be healthy for your children, your spouse, your family. Be very clear on why that is. Are you doing it for them or are you doing it for yourself? While you're doing it for them can be fine. Doing it for yourself will keep you motivated even more. And I'll tell you the reason why is because if your family or your spouse is encouraging you to do XYZ, and it's not something that you truly want, you're not going to be successful, or that motivation is going to fade quickly because it's not something that you truly want. But if it's something personally for you that's going to make you feel more confident, help you build a better future for your family, for yourself, then use that. Use that reason to commit, to motivate yourself, and to go get what you want. So identify regularly and remind yourself of your why, and that's going to help you sustain long-term motivation. Now, that was just the psychology behind why it's hard to start something new. And I'm going to give you a tool that's going to help you become more powerful and create a more powerful mindset to start making the choices to do these things that you really want. Because life is hard. Either way, whether you choose to do things that are hard or stay where you are, it's going to be hard. So here's the question. Which hard do you want to live with? So I want you to think about the things that you want, and I want you to choose your hard. So for example, I know one of these is going to hit home with you. You can choose to work out consistently because that's going to be hard. To get to the gym, to wake up an hour early, to buy new shoes, to go get new workout clothes. Those things might be hard. But you can work out consistently and be better in your health. Or you can choose the hard to struggle with being overweight, with being tired. Same goes with anything that does with your has to do with your health. You can choose to eat healthy meals, which is going to be hard because they're not that great tasting and you're going to have to cook at home. That's hard. Or you can choose to live with your disease, whether that's heart disease, diabetes, not live as long. That's going to be your hard. Choose your hard. Now you can wake up early to be productive and get things done that you've really wanted to do, or you can sleep in and feel behind all day because you slept in and had to rush out the door. Or you can watch TV and doom scroll social media. You know what I mean by doom scrolling is just one reel and then the next one starts playing and then the next one and the next one. And 2 hours later, you're like, oh crap, I was supposed to do all these things and now I'm an hour late to bed. Choose your heart. be productive, which can be hard, get off of social media, which is hard, or not get anything done and feel guilty, which is hard. You can save and invest money now. That's going to be hard not to take vacations. It's going to be hard not to go buy new clothes. It's going to be hard not to shop Amazon. Or you can struggle with financial stress and choose your heart. You can choose to do the hard thing now where you're not spending money to get that instant gratification, or you can and struggle and live with that financial stress, which is hard. Choose your hard. Which one do you want to live with? Next, you can have a tough conversation in a relationship. That's hard. Being able to be vulnerable with somebody and openly communicate your feelings and your boundaries is hard. Letting resentment build up is the other part of that. If you don't have those conversations and if you don't build those deep relationships, resentment builds up, and that's hard and probably going to explode one day, which is hard. Choose your hard. You can stay disciplined at work. Show up on time, show up early. Stay until the end of the day, work late, work through lunch. Or you can deal with job insecurity, which is hard. Which hard would you choose? They're both hard. You can start the business that you dream of. You can take the time before, after work, and on the weekends and dedicate that to your time or to your dream. Or you can regret never trying. Choose your hard. You can choose to learn a new skill, go back to school, get a certification, or you can stay stagnant in your career. Keep making the same money you've always been making or working for a company that you don't want to work for. Choose your hard. You can go back to school or you can struggle with limited career options. Choose your hard. You can practice self-care or deal with burnout and exhaustion later. Choose your hard. Face your fears or let them control you. Choose your hard. Take responsibility for your happiness or blame others for your unhappiness. Choose your hard. Let go of toxic people or continue being drained by them. Choose your hard. Be consistent with a meditation or gratitude practice or deal with the stress and anxiety that you have now. Choose your hard. Set your boundaries or feel taken advantage of. Choose your hard. Work on your mindset or stay stuck in negativity. Choose your hard. Read and grow or remain uninformed and unprepared. Choose your hard. Invest in yourself or stay in a cycle of self-doubt. Choose your hard. Push through discomfort or stay in the same place. Choose your hard. Believe in yourself or live with regret. Choose your hard. When you discuss this shift in the perspective of choosing your hard, guess what? That puts the control back into your hands. So remember when I felt at the beginning when I said, are you feeling stuck? Are you feeling frustrated? Are you feeling unmotivated? How about now? Choose your hard. You can choose to be stuck. You can choose to feel frustrated. You can choose to live this life of anxiety, or you can choose a different hard and start making moves and decisions that are going to help you take control back and live the life that you deserve. Why are you worth making these hard decisions? You deserve to live a life that you love. This is just all about the small and hard choices that really add up to living a fulfilling life. Trust me, right now, your future self will thank you. If you think to your past self, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, can you thank your past self for where you are right now? So your future self, a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, are they going to look back to your 2025 self and say, thank you, 2025 self, for choosing the right hard decisions to get me where I am right now? That's huge and something that I've been thinking about lately. I actually went to a women's retreat back in November of last year. And part of the activity was to write a letter to our future self And I just got it the other day. And I thought my future self would thank me for the work that I did in November and over the last 6 months. But I was truly wrong. So today, I'm going to do something that my future self in 6 months will thank me for, that 6 months from now will thank me for. Because I want to do better for myself, but I want to do better for my future self as well. You are worth making the hard decisions because your self-confidence will grow. Because when you do these hard things, you will prove to yourself that you're capable. You are not stuck. Every choice you make is going to be a step towards a better future. You have the power to change. Your past does not define your future. Whatever you're going through is temporary, whether it's good or bad. If it's good, guess what? That temporary can be permanent, but it's going to take some time. But if it's bad, the pain, the regret, the pain is temporary, but regret actually lasts a little bit longer. So struggle now or regret later. Really, it's your choice. Happiness comes from growth. Even if you are failing, if you're growing and learning, challenges bring fulfillment, not comfort. You're going to get outside of your comfort zone, and guess what? That's where growth happens. You are worth the investment. Prioritize yourself, your health, your growth, and your happiness. It is not selfish, it's necessary. When someone says someone is selfish or the whole world revolves around them, guess what? It does. Because right here, right now, wherever you are in space, your world revolves around you. You want your space to be a certain temperature. You want to be around certain people. You want certain things to happen. It is a selfish world, and that's how it is. People want the things that they want, and not everybody in that same space is going to want the same thing. So to negotiate is just to be in a space with other people. Trying to think of the word, but negotiating is not a bad thing. But when you are truly putting yourself on the line and changing things or going against your values to accommodate other people, then they're being selfish. So when you want something and you want to go after it, it is not selfish. Now, if you have a child and you have a baby, that really depends on you. Yes, you're going to have to take some of that selfishness out of it. You're not going to be able to go do a lot of things you were going to be able to before. But because you brought a life, you decided and you made that decision. So that is part of yourself. And you have to be selfish for that child as well and do what's necessary for them. Other than that, the people in your life, if they love you and you want specific things and you prioritize your health, your growth, and your happiness, they should not be upset because they would do the same thing for themselves. Now, if you feel like this has really hit with you, I want to make sure that I don't forget to ask you to subscribe to this podcast wherever you are listening. And then also hit that share button and share it with somebody that might also be stuck, that might be frustrated, that has maybe come to you and said, I just don't know what I'm supposed to be doing next. I have no idea what to do. I'm stuck. This is a perfect episode to share with them. So I want you to help not only inspire yourself, but inspire others around you to live the life that you deserve. So to recap, you got to choose your heart. There's reasons why and psychology behind why our brains have a hard time starting something new. I want you to reflect on the hards that you want to choose today, the hard things that you want to choose to do tomorrow, and the results that you're going to see in the future. I want you to share your thoughts, your experiences, and your struggles. I would love to see them. If you're on Instagram, I want you to hit a story and share your experiences, your thoughts, and share it with the world on the hards that you're going to choose from now on forward for yourself. And I want you to tag me at Liz Javier 321, LizJavier 321, and I want to hear from you. So subscribe, share, take a small action today towards a better hard, share it on social media, tag me, and if you want to work one-on-one together, I have this amazing program that I'm starting, and I'm taking only a select 10 clients right now. And it is a 3-month coaching program where you're going to get a 90-minute assessment where we are going to go over your life and your happiness and see what it is that you need in your life in order to be happy, whether it's weight loss, mental or spiritual well-being. finding your purpose, landing your dream job, or simply feeling unlost and having a fresh start, this is for you. Over the course of 3 months, we will start with a 90-minute deep dive assessment. It's going to help you gain clarity on where you are and where you want to go over the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, and beyond. You will get 10 private coaching calls. These are personalized support just for you, guidance and action steps that you are going to be able to take with you and accountability, because you're also going to be able to voice text me throughout the week to get real-time encouragement and insights when you need them. So if you're ready to take control of your happiness and design a healthier, more fulfilling life, let's unlock the best version of you. If you're ready for a breakthrough, see the description below, set up a call with me, and let's see what we can start. Thank you so much for being here. If you stayed all the way to the end, it's because I know you're dedicated to your life, to your happiness, and creating the life that you deserve. Thank you so much. I love you all so deeply and appreciate you for listening. I can't wait to hear from you. If there's any topics you'd like to hear about as well, don't be afraid to comment wherever you are listening, or you can send me a message on Instagram. Don't forget to follow me at Liz Javier 321. I'll see you there. Have a great week.